Live chat's not on. We're live.
Hey everyone, we are live. I'm just, I messed up on a setting here, so I'm just trying to fix it. So just bear with me for a second. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. It is a Friday and I appreciate it. Welcome to Hard Talk Live, episode 9. Sorry, having a problem with the live chat right now for some reason, so bear with me, but we'll get through this. Tonight, since Valentine's Day is coming 12 days from now, we are going to go deep into My Bloody Valentine 1981. First up, before we get into anything, I want to thank my buddy Dale _ from the Bat Spider podcast for having watch along on their Discord last night. I know some of those fellas have never seen the movie, and I noticed that a lot of them enjoyed it, so I'm glad about that. Let me adjust this mic. New setup here, so we're just getting still playing around a little bit, so it's not in the way. By the way, you can't talk about My Bloody Valentine and not have a little bit of Moosehead Lager that was prominently in the film. They still make it. You can get it at certain beer stores. It's actually a really good beer. So if you get a chance to check them out, check it out. Sorry, folks, it's a little bit of a disaster here. Thanks for being patient here. For some reason, the chat's not working, and I can't figure out why. But anyway, thanks for joining on the Friday night, spending some time with us. And if you got to watch this film, if you don't have the unrated cut, I will say this up front. You missed a lot, unfortunately. Because the unrated cut adds a lot of gore that was cut out from the R-rated cut that's prominently on streaming services. You have to buy, I don't think you get the unrated cut streaming, maybe on Tubi. But the only way to see the unrated cut is on physical media. So if you didn't get to see the unrated cut, seek it out someday. Trust me, it's completely worth it because there's a lot of cool stuff in the unrated cut. Troy just watched it for the first time before the stream, so it was his first time watching it. I've seen it many times over the years. It's been a long time since I've seen the R-rated cut, so I am not sure. I know what was cut and what was added, so, but yeah. Let's get into some housekeeping here. Just a couple. We're going to go through some physical media releases coming up, and we'll get into the movie. Anybody that has my personal number, give me a text. Let me know how we sound. We're dealing with a new microphone. It should be all good here. We're a little disheveled here because, honestly, I I was expecting the chat to work, so I'm a little thrown off, but we're going to get through this. Okay, first up, physical media coming up. February 20th, we have Darkman on 4K. Sam Raimi's Darkman comes out on 4K from Scream Factory on February 20th. Beverly Hills Cop gets a 4K box set. Now, they've released the first Beverly Hills Cop on 4K and the second one on 4K. They are now releasing the third one, and with that, they're releasing a whole box set. So if you're a Beverly Hills Cop fan, you can purchase a whole box set starting on February 20th. Now, on March 12th, James Cameron, Three Biggies are coming out. Lots of reverb. Thanks, Rich, for texting me. We're getting lots of echo. All right, hold on. We're going to make some adjustments here. I'm going to keep going here while Troy tries to figure it out. On March 12th, James Cameron, The Abyss, Aliens, and True Lies comes out on 4K. What's the matter?
I have a microphone on.
Shut that microphone off. I keep talking. King Kong 1976 is getting a 4K release on April 9th. And a comedy that I absolutely adore, Major League, is getting a 4K on April 12th for the first time ever. I'm really looking forward to that. As for theatrical movies I've seen in January, me and Troy and my wife Alicia went to see Beekeeper back when it came out 3 or 4 weeks ago. And, you can check out my review if you scroll on down, but it was really a fun 80s style action film. And if that's your kind of movie, I think you'll enjoy it. It's just Jason Statham kicking ass for an hour and 40 minutes. There's cheesy one-liners, there's some badass fights, and that's pretty much it. And it was totally everything I wanted, and it gave me everything I wanted for an 80s style action movie. I didn't have too many expectations. I like Jason Statham as an action star, but the movie ended up being a very big surprise, and we all enjoyed it, even my wife. How are we sounding now, guys? Give me a text if you, Rich, if you have my number. Give me a text, please. Since the chat's not working for some reason. If you're getting a lot of echo, I apologize. New setup, new microphone. We're just trying to figure this out. Now, if you want to watch My Bloody Valentine, you can get the Steelbook from Scream Factory. It has the uncut version and the R-rated version. Once you see the uncut version, there's no reason to go back. This is the way it should be meant to be seen by the director, George Mahalka. 9 minutes of footage were cut out of the film to get an R rating. So when Paramount was the one that distributed the film, and they had Friday the 13th in 1980, just to give a little background on this film. And Friday the 13th, the MPAA had it out for Paramount's next horror film, which was this film. Sorry guys, I'm trying to recover from this dumpster fire right now. Okay, we're sounding good now, Kurt says. Thanks, Kurt. I appreciate it.
That's easy to fix. Actually, very simple.
Sound is fixed. Cool. All right. So go back to you. You're in YouTube. Okay. So 9 minutes of footage had to be cut out to get the R rating, and for years Paramount didn't want to release an unrated cut of this movie, and when Lionsgate, Paramount claimed all the footage was lost. Lionsgate got the rights back in the mid-2000s, and they were going to put out an unrated DVD of this film. And they found the footage. Okay. Rich says a little Transformers like what he's digging at. Okay. It's on. Okay. All right. We got... Okay, there's still an echo. All right, cool. The chat is on, so we can see you in the chat now. So...
That's good.
Again, I apologize. We were monkeying around with this stuff, and I thought it was working, but, you know, you never know when you do this live. That's the trouble of doing stuff live, but it's fun. Fun time. So anyway, 9 minutes of footage got cut out. Paramount was unwilling to release an unrated version, but they claimed that the footage was lost for years. Lionsgate got the rights from Paramount to distribute a DVD, and they wanted to do an uncut version. They found the footage, and they put back in 3 to 5 minutes. It varies. Let me know how I sound. Please just shout out. I just appreciate it. And they put the footage back in and released the DVD. Now, the fine folks at Screen Factory, I just showed you that steelbook, gave it a 4K. All right. Good job, buddy. The fine folks at Screen Factory gave it a 4K transfer and added, because in the old DVD from Lionsgate, the uncut footage that was put back in was really grainy, like VHS type, which you'll see sometimes when they can't clean it up. Well, Screen Factory found a way and cleaned it up, and it looks much better now. And now there's a 4K version out there if you want to buy it. But anyway, let's get into this film. So let's talk about My Bloody Valentine. They did make a remake too with the great Tom Atkins. If you've never seen that one, check it out. It's definitely worth checking out. And yeah, there's some good stuff in that movie too. And it definitely stays in the same vein, but it kind of does its own thing. My Bloody Valentine was a Canadian production. This was right around the time where Canada made 3 slasher films in the early 80s. And those 3, the Holy Trinity was Prom Night, Terror Train, and My Bloody Valentine. They came out pretty much right after each other in succession. And the producers of this film, basically this all came about because of Halloween. Halloween is what set off the slasher boom of the 80s, as we all know if you're a horror fan. With the success of that film and then Friday the 13th coming out and doing it on a low budget, it made a huge amount of money that people were just racing to find a holiday to exploit for a horror movie or just make a slasher film in general. So the producers of this film were just looking for a holiday to exploit, and they decided on Valentine's Day. And George Maholka had directed a comedy up in Canada, and they knew George Maholka, so they offered him the job on this. Now, at first, when they went into production, they always wanted to put Valentine in the title, but they went into production with the title The Secret. And they went into casting, and they actually filmed this in a real small mining town. They actually filmed in a real mine. We'll get into that a little bit later. But cast-wise in this film, and most of these people, some of them went on to do other things. Some of them never did much of anything after this film, just a few small things. Paul Kelman plays TJ. He is one that definitely didn't do a whole lot after this. He's one of our main characters. He actually left this small town of Valentine's Bluff to better his life, and he came crawling back to work in his father's mine because he didn't make it outside of town. Lori Holler plays Sarah. She was TJ's ex when he left town, and now there's kind of this love triangle between Sarah, TJ, and Axel, played by Neil Affleck, who plays the other main character. And right at the beginning of the film, we see this miner down in the mine with this girl, and they're getting a little frisky with it. And this woman does not care this guy won't take his mask off. Like, she does not care. She's all in on it. And they never set it up if she's a stripper or a hooker or anything like that. She's just all in on this. And then he kills her. And that's how we start off. And then we're introduced to these young people that work down in this Hanniger mine. And, you know, they're a tight-knit group. They work hard all day, and they basically go drinking all night. And it's all they have to do because it's a small town. It's a small coal mining town, and there's not a whole lot going on. But everybody's excited because they're having their first Valentine's Day dance in 20 years. And then we get a flashback to what happened 21 years prior, when on Valentine's night, everybody from the mine went to the dance except for a couple supervisors and 7 men down in the mine. There was an explosion because the supervisors weren't paying attention, and Harry Warden, by the time they found him, it took them weeks to dig him out, and they found him eating some of the other men that died in the mine. And Harry got taken off to an insane asylum. 1 year after that, he broke out, came back to Valentine's Bluff, killed some people, including Axel's father, and he was caught again and sent off to the insane asylum. Well, now it's 20 years later. They're having their first Valentine's Day party in 20 years. And it's a big deal in Valentine's Day Bluff, wouldn't you say? They decorate it to the nines, right, Troy? They go all out, and I mean, nobody loves Valentine's Day like these folks. And once again, the mayor gets a chocolate box with a heart in it, and they were off and running. The chief of police and the mayor think Harry Warden is back. And honestly, especially with the unrated cut, and I know Brandon, some of the guys over at Bat and Spider's Discord got to watch it last night on a live watch along, which I appreciate. Again, Dale, I thank you for doing that if you're listening. And if you're not subscribed to Bat and Spider's podcast, go over and check them out over at Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I greatly would appreciate it. Let them know I sent you over there. Those are great guys, and they have a great podcast. And what we get after this is it's basically honestly, the unrated cut has some wonderful gore, wouldn't you say? There's some wonderful gore moments. We're going to talk about the highlights. But, they decide to, after they find Mabel in one of her dryers, which Harry Warden must have had a lot of quarters to keep that dryer going all night, with a great prop dummy when the chief of police finds it. It looks amazing. And they decide to cancel the dance that they've been working so hard towards. And all the young folks that work in the mine decide to go off to the mine to have their Halloween or Valentine's Day party at their break room, which is actually a pretty cool break room. I got to give them credit. They got a pinball machine in there. They got a pool table. I mean, it's not a bad break room. I wish I had a break room like that at work. But, Harry Warden shows up. We get the guy who gets his face dunked in boiling hot dog water, which is a really shitty way to die. Wouldn't you say? You don't want to go that way. Not in a pot full of hot dogs. That's not. Yeah. Nobody wants to go that way, but he does. And then we get the folks that go down in the mine. Harry's down there, and then it's just TJ, Sarah, and Axel. This is when we get the reveal that Harry Warden is dead, and Axel is the one that's been killing everybody because he witnessed Harry kill his father 20 years prior. And now with them bringing Valentine's celebration back, he's gone off the reservation, and he's just starting to kill everybody. And Axel gets dispatched by a cave-in. He cuts his own arm off as Sarah's holding his hand, and he crawls off screaming bunch of gobbledygook. And that's how... And we end with the Ballad of Harry Warden, which is a pretty cool song, and the credits roll. And that's it for My Bloody Valentine. Now, what I really like about this film, what I've always liked about this film, is the small town setting. I love small town setting horror films. I always have. I've come from a small town, as my buddy Rich, who's in the chat, will attest to, and Kurt. I came from a small coal mining town. Now, by the time I got older, coal mining was still present, but the town had moved on to more of a factory town at that point. But this town that in this movie reminds me of my hometown in a lot of ways, with the coal breakers, and when I was growing up, the aftermath of the coal boom was everywhere around us. So this movie gives me nostalgia for my hometown and just reminds me of it. And the characters really do embody that blue collar feel, blue collar workers who work hard all day, then they go out and just have some beers. I mean, we used to do that when I started working when I was an adult. And it just reminds me of my hometown a lot. And it just, I don't know, for whatever reason, just gives me nostalgia for it. And I've always appreciated how much they pull it off in this film of just giving it a small town feeling. And the actors do a great job. I mean, not all the acting's great. I mean, there's some definitely not great acting, but it's good enough to get across what they need to get across. And I think all the actors do a pretty good job. Now, before I go on, this is my son's first time seeing it. And what did you think of... First of all, let's ask, how do you like the killer's costume?
It was pretty cool. I'd wear it. To school.
I also love the killer's costume. That's one of the other positives. I think, yes, it's simple. It's a coal mining outfit, but I think it works really well. And the pickaxe is a great weapon for a slasher film. It really is. And, I mean, they do get inventive with the kills here. And the kills are definitely, especially in the unrated cut, are the standout here. How did you like the kills? What was your favorite kill, if we're going to call it a favorite one? I know which one mine is, but I'm asking you.
I really don't know.
My favorite one, well, let's go back a little bit. Every one of these films have to have, especially with Friday the 13th, it has to have the crazy guy warning everybody what's going on. And My Bloody Valentine has that guy. The bartender, Happy. warns them multiple times not to have a party. Don't be celebrating Valentine's Day because Harry Warden is going to come back and make you pay. But he decides when he finds out the kids are having a party at... Go back so we can see the chat on here because it's hard to read off my iPad. It definitely hits home, Rich, definitely. Happy goes off to the mine to set up this jump scare on the kids. And he's laughing his ass off like this is the greatest get ever. And he sets up this dummy miner with the pickaxe. And when they open the door to the break room, it comes up and it'll scare them. That's what he thinks. And he's laughing. He's loving it. He's having the best time of his life. He's thinking he's king shit. And he's going to scare the shit out of these kids. He does it like 3 times, and then finally he starts walking away. And he stands there for a second, pauses, and he starts laughing. He goes back again. And this is when my favorite kill happens of the whole film. He opens the door, and the real miner's there, and he puts the pickaxe up through the bottom of his chin and comes out his eyeball. And it looks amazing. Hats off to the effects guy, which I do have his name. Thomas Berman did the makeup effects, and he did a magnificent job in this film. Not only with Mabel's dead corpse that the sheriff finds in the dryer, which looks great, but this effect with Happy and the pickaxe is got to be one of my favorite slasher kills of all time. It's up there, top 10, easily top 10 favorite slasher kills. I mean, it just looks amazing. So hats off to them for being able to pull that off. All the kills come off really well. Even the girl in the shower room, I like that kill. He pushes her on the pipe, and it comes out the back of her head and her mouth, and then you can see the water coming out when her boyfriend finds her. They did a fantastic job with the special effects in this film. I mean, they did have a decent sized budget. They had a $2.3 million budget, and upon release only made 5.6, which is a shame. I don't know what happened because I think this is a very effective slasher film. But how did you like that kill with the pickaxe up through Happy's face?
I liked that.
That was
kill, yeah.
probably the highlight.
I will say the kill where he gets killed in the pot.
Yeah.
With all the hot dogs. It's not as bad as Thanksgiving.
No, it's not as bad as Thanksgiving because when they put the guy's head in the pot of hot dog water, you do see his face start burning and scabbing, and it's a cool effect for sure. And but no, it's not as good as the kill when he puts the lady in Thanksgiving. My son's comparing everything with Thanksgiving, so don't mind it because he loves Thanksgiving. So did I, but I love the setting of the mine as well. I mean, up until this point, that was pretty novel when this came out. The mine setting, and they do definitely utilize that, and they did film in a real mine. They filmed in Sydney Mines, Nova Scotia, and the mine had gone out of business around 75. And there was a funny story I read about when they showed up to go film there. The town thought they'd do the filmmakers a favor, and they cleaned up the mine and painted it. So when they showed up, it looked nothing like it did when they scouted it originally. So they had to use $75,000 of production money to put the mine back to the way it was, the way they wanted it originally, so they can use it for the film. And they also said it was a nightmare getting everybody down into the mine. When was the last time you think you saw it, Rich? This is one that doesn't get talked about a lot, unfortunately, in my opinion. I think it's starting to gain a little steam, and Scream Factory is definitely doing its job of putting physical media out there so you can get it. But it's definitely one that's been kind of like very, very cult status. No, they filmed this in Nova Scotia, Canada, Rich. Not West Virginia. They filmed at a real coal mine in Nova Scotia. In a small town. It was a very small town. The way it looks on film, from what they described, is what the town was like. So it definitely was a definite small town. So they captured all of that. I got to mention something, though. When they leave the bar the one night, and this is just so, it reminds me of my hometown. It's something people in my hometown would do. And they go to the junkyard to hang out, and they're cooking hot dogs on the engine block of a car. I mean, that is small town living if I've ever seen it, man. I know people that would do that, honestly. I could just picture that from my hometown happening. Not that there's nothing wrong with it. It just brought a smile to my face. Every time I watch that scene, it just brings a smile to my face. Just hanging out in the scrapyard, drinking beer, and cooking hot dogs on an engine block. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's right. Snack time. That's right. Snack time. I love the setting of the mine. And they said it was a nightmare getting everybody down there. They had to use an elevator, and they can only take so much stuff down at a time. So it would take them hours to get down there and get set up to start shooting down there. No more. What do you want? He obviously too gonna have a beer, so he's gonna have a Coke. Coke and a smile. Oh, Dr. Pepper. Sorry. Now, the other thing I got to mention this character, Hollis, the dime store John Candy. But is he a good friend or what? Not only does he break Axel and TJ up from fighting during the film, at a moment's notice, he jumps in and breaks them up after they throw a couple punches. But when they're in the mine and they realize their friends are getting killed, he has no qualms about dropping everything and running to save his friends. And unfortunately for his trouble, because I really do like that character though, because he just seems like somebody I remember from my hometown. Just seems like somebody you would find, just this good dude, and he runs into danger, and then he gets a nail gun to the head twice and ends up dying. But he was mad. He hung it out and got back to his friends to try to warn him, although he didn't really say much because he had 2 nails in his head. But I like that character. Yes, he looks like a dime store John Candy, but he's a great character. So hats off to that guy. He's a keeper, man. He's a good friend, that guy. Hollis was definitely a real one. What did you think of Hollis when he got his nail gun on his head?
That's pretty cool.
Speaking of the nail gun scene, when he goes back to find that couple, the one he thinks he's going to help out, and they're already dead, he finds that like corkscrew drill bit in them. Speaking of the unrated cut, just a little bit of trivia on that. They actually filmed more of that kill. Like, you actually saw the miner sticking that drill bit down into the couple. They said it was really graphic, but it was a really cool effect. They actually did film it. And a little research I did, I found out that when they went to do the unrated cut, they couldn't find the footage of that. But the director says they did film that kill. But they can't find the footage to put it back in the unrated cut. So hopefully maybe one day we'll see that footage. The director said there was more footage. It wasn't kill stuff. There was more story stuff that was cut out. He said the actually unrated cut's about 80-85% of what was originally shot, like the way the movie was originally supposed to be. So it'd be interesting to see the rest of that footage. I don't know if we ever will at this point. It would just depend if somebody has the will to get it. But yeah, I thought that was of note. The director said that, yeah, they did actually film that kill, but yeah, they haven't been able to find the footage so far, unfortunately. And that happens with a lot of those films back then. The biggest one is Friday the 13th Part 7. That was a bloodbath until the MPA got their hands on it. And if you see the R-rated cut, it's definitely trimmed down. It's very tame for a Friday the 13th film. And you can see some of the footage on the documentary in the Blu-ray box set, and it's all grainy and that's like really low quality footage. They say their deaf footage is gone, and that happened with a lot of those, especially horror films. They didn't care about keeping a good, they didn't store them all that well, and they got kind of tossed around. And unfortunately, there's a lot of films like that where we're never going to see all the footage. But, at least we got this version of My Bloody Valentine, even if we don't ever see the rest of it. This is a pretty damn good version of it. Again, Moosehead Lager, if you could find it, I recommend it. While they were filming in the mine, because of all the methane down there, they had to use special light bulbs, low wattage, so they had to use faster film, different lenses. That's why when you see the mine scenes, the lighting's a little darker, but that's because they couldn't use the regular lights because they would have exploded. So that was the reason why it was shot the way it was shot, and they used the lenses and the lighting that they could because they couldn't use the regular lights they would normally use on this. The one thing I thought was funny thinking about this film, Paramount Pictures released this film, and they released Friday the 13th. Now this film starts on Thursday the 12th, and it takes place on Friday the 13th, and then Saturday the 14th. And I'm like, that is pretty cool thinking about it, even though it doesn't really mean much. But it's cool that this film actually does take place during Friday the 13th. But it's kind of stupid, but I think that's pretty cool actually. The body count: 12 people get killed in this movie, and that song at the end of the movie, "The Ballad of Harry Warden," was actually written by the composer of this film, the composed the music, and it was sang by a gentleman, a folk singer, like a Scottish Canadian folk singer, by the name of John McDermott. So that was kind of thrown together because the producers wanted a song that they can market. Now it never really got released beyond the film, so it never made it out there. I don't know if you can even get it anywhere. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere on any music service or anything, but it was a song that was written and performed just specifically for this movie, but they wanted something to tie in with the movie. And the other thing about the film is when they were starting to shoot the film, they didn't let the cast know who the killer was. They wouldn't give them that last piece of the script. So nobody knew who the killer was through filming.
Wait, not even the person who...
Affleck, who played Axel, realized it when they sent him to get a prosthetic arm made for that final scene. He figured it out then, but nobody knew who the killer was originally when they started shooting this film. And the director said he did it on purpose because he wanted them all to be surprised and not know where the film was going. And I don't know if it worked. I think it works because I like this film. I think this is a pretty good slasher film. It's one of the better ones of the period. I love the killer. I love the outfit. I love the weapon of choice. The kills are really well done. Is there any downsides? I mean, Troy, what do you think? Downside? Do you think there's any downsides to this film, in your opinion?
Probably because it's like Founders Day. Too many characters.
He said that was my main. We saw Founders Day a couple weeks ago, and the movie has way too many characters. And I don't agree with this film. I don't think too many characters is not a problem. But in Founders Day, there's way too many characters, and it's so disjointed and all over the place of what it wants to be. It's a movie of a lot of different tones, and I don't think they nail any of them particularly well. Where this film, I think they land the tone what they're going for. I mean, they're going for a slasher film, whodunit kind of, and I think they pull it off. So I don't agree with him, but that's what he said, and that's we all have our own opinions, so we're all allowed to have them. But at the end of the day, what did you think of the movie overall, though?
It was good.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah.
What do you think it was better than Founders Day?
No.
You like Founders Day better?
Yeah.
I think this movie is way better than Founders Day. I actually really, out of the early 80s slasher films, this is a movie I really, really enjoy. I like this more than the original Friday the 13th. I would say I like this more than the first three Friday the 13th movies if I had to compare them. Not better than Part 4. Friday the 13th Part 4 is like almost a perfect slasher film, in my opinion. Especially those, sleazy, pretty hardcore slasher films of the 80s. I think Friday the 13th Part 4 is probably almost a perfect slasher film. But this is one of the better ones. This fits right in there with the burning and that, where they're going for, especially on rated cut, the gore shots. I mean, obviously, Prom Night and Terror Train, which were made up in Canada around the same time, aren't nowhere near as gory as this film. Those are a little bit more tame compared to this and their American counterparts. But at the end of the day, I really like this film. And I hope for you fellas that got to see this last night in the Bat and Spider Discord, if you're in here, I hope you enjoyed it. I saw the positive reviews and the positive reactions. I went back through the chat, and it seemed like you guys really dug it. Kurt, did you get to watch the unrated cut? I know you said you didn't think you ever saw the original one. I know you said you saw the remake. Also, did any of you ever see the remake? Let me know in the chat. The remake's definitely worth checking out. It's really good. Tom Atkinson, so it's an easy sell right there. The man, the myth, the legend. They shot that one in Pittsburgh, in and around Pittsburgh, but I think the remake is definitely worth seeking out. I think it's a really good movie. But at the end of the day, I would give My Bloody Valentine a 9 out of 10. I really like this film, and for all the reasons I stated, 9 out of 10 for... Did not, Kurt? Yeah, 9 out of 10 for My Bloody Valentine. This is a movie I watch every year around this time. I watch this one. I watched the remake. I watched Valentine, which me and Dale _ did last year on our first episode of Horror Talk Live. I do like the remake. Yeah, I saw that in the theaters in 3D, even though I'm not a fan of 3D. And it's definitely a cool movie, and there's some interesting things in that movie. And it definitely doesn't hold any punches either. It's definitely very gory, the remake. So if you get a chance to check the remake out and never saw it, I recommend checking out the remake as well. I think the remake might... I know this one is streaming on Tubi. I don't know if it's the uncut version. So, but didn't see the unrated cut. You got to check out the unrated cut. It might be on Tubi, Kurt. It was streaming on Tubi, and usually Tubi puts the unrated cuts on. Oh yeah, Brandon, definitely. Yeah, there's not a lot of music in this film. Definitely, it's very sparse. It's very minimal, and I think it adds to the atmosphere. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, the remake was decent. I like the remake. I think Dale has my copy of the remake right now. He borrowed it. 'Cause, yeah, I don't think he's ever seen it. But yeah, I like the score. I actually like the song at the end, "The Ballad of Harry Warden." I like it. It's like this kind of folksy, kind of, Appalachian type song. I really dig that song. Actually, the soundtrack to this film, although there's not much of one, never got a release, not an official release anyway. Not like some of the other horror contemporaries, like Carpenter's scores always got a release and stuff like that. But this film never got a release like that. At the end of the day, I think it's a shame this movie kind of got lost in the 80s shuffle. I don't know what happened back then. Obviously, I was too young. I don't know if Paramount didn't put a lot into the advertising campaign or what happened. It's a shame that it didn't make as much as some of its counterparts. But again, it's a really good slasher film with... I love the killer. I love the kills, and it's just a fun time. I give it a 9 out of 10. Troy, what would you give My Bloody Valentine?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. We're going through it. Troy's seen all the Scream films. He's seen Thanksgiving. He's seen this now, and we're trying to make our way through as many horror films as we can. He's very interested. He wants to dive into Friday the 13th films. For obvious reasons, some of them I'm not ready for him to watch, and it's not even the violence because he's watched Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving was pretty hardcore. Yeah, I love the setting, Brandon. Like I was saying, the setting of the small town. I love small town horror films, and this definitely is. It sells that small town feel, blue collar mining town. Like I said, I'm from a mining town. It just gives you that feeling, and I don't know. It hits me. It just gives me that nostalgia every time I watch it. It makes me think of home when I watch this film. Actually, yeah, boobies. Yeah, that's the problem with the Friday the 13th movies, Kurt. There's a lot of them in every entry except for Part 6. So I told him he can watch Part 6. I said, unfortunately, though, you're not going to get some of the story, even though there's not an overarching story except for the first 4, really. But 6 does kind of carry on the franchise story, if you think about it. But yeah, that's my problem. Troy told me I could just cover his eyes at those parts, and I'm like, it's true, but if I forget, then it's out of the bag. It's out of the bag, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I give it 9 out of 10. Troy gave it an 8 out of 10. What would you guys give it out of 10? Throw it on down in the chat. I greatly appreciate it. I'm actually wearing my Valentine's Day Dance shirt. That's on our TeePublic page. Now, next month, we are going to do a Horror Talk Live in March. And I've been thinking about this a lot. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to stick in the 80s. But we're going to go out of slasher territory for a watch. And we're going to do Silver Bullet in March. So March is going to be a Silver Bullet conversation. And I just got the 4K for Silver Bullet, and I'm excited to talk about that one in a long form chat. Troy's never seen Silver Bullet, so we're gonna have to get on that and watch it. But yes, in March, I don't know the date yet. I will release that by the end of February. I'll release a date for March, but March's episode will be on Silver Bullet, a very cool little werewolf film from the 80s based on a Stephen King short story. So that is it for this stream. I want to thank everybody for joining us on a Friday night, spending your Friday night with us. Sorry about the little bit of technical difficulties at the beginning. It kind of threw me off. So if I seemed a little off, that's why it threw me off. We tested everything. Everything was working before we went live. And then the moment you hit live, kablooey, we sound like we're talking from the International Space Station. But yeah, next time we won't have these problems. This is a new setup. My son got a new mic. I got a new webcam. That's why the picture looks way better. 8 out of 10. I'm liking these 8 out of 10s, man. I like them. It's a good score. Yeah, so we're just feeling through the new tech. I know the picture should look better. At least I hope it does than it used to. I hope we sound better now that we fixed it. And from now on, this is where we'll be broadcasting from when we do a live stream.
We didn't really fix it.
We adjusted. We tweaked it. Troy tweaked it. He's my tech advisor here. Yeah, man, we're gonna do the Silver Bullet. We won't be drinking Coors Light, Rich, but we're gonna do the Silver Bullet. I know you're familiar with that movie. I don't know how much everybody else is. I'm sure Brandon, you've seen Silver Bullet, right? But yeah, next month will be Silver Bullet. By the end of February, I'll release a date on that. I'm going to get Troy to watch it. He's never seen it. And we'll do it together again. Mm-hmm. And we'll have some fun. And we won't have no technical glitches next time. That's the thing about doing it live is you never know what's going to happen. I've been pretty lucky till now, but today was, it's unfortunate, but it happens. And there's nowhere to hide when you're doing it live. You never heard of Silver Bullet? I'm excited for you to check it out, Brandon. It's a movie I saw many times when I was a kid, and it's a movie I continue to watch a lot of, and I'm excited to do a long-form talk on it. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Again, thank you for joining us for Horror Talk Live episode 9. If you're not already subscribed, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button too. I appreciate it. And that's it for tonight. I hope you all have a great weekend, and we will see you soon. Bye.